friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am the GM Philosopher, and today we are talking about 4 lessons I learned playing D&D this weekend. Now, these days, as a busy person, I only get to play D&D every other weekend, but this weekend was my D&D game, and I had so much fun, and I had prepped for it, and I did a bunch of stuff to get ready for it, and everyone showed up, and it was a super awesome time, and it was a great game, but I'm always looking to improve. I'm always looking to learn, and so in running this session last night and then looking back on it today, I asked myself, what are some lessons that I could learn from my session last night? What are some things that I might have been reminded of that I want to keep doing, make sure that I do in future games to make them go as good as possible? And this brought me up to 4 lessons. And these are lessons I learned, more like lessons I was reminded of that I want to keep doing, keep taking seriously as I play D&D. And I just wanted to share them with you because I was reflecting on these and I found them quite helpful. I wrote them down and I just kind of want to let you know what kinds of things I was thinking of today as I reflected on my game. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Did you play some D&D this past week or weekend? And if so, what lessons did you learn, or what lessons were you reminded of that helped you to take your game in a much better direction, helped you to improve, right? Things that you want to try to do in the future to make it better, etc. Drop me a comment. Let me know. I'm always looking for people's insight and input. And with that being said, let's jump right into it. Number 1, I was reminded that paying really close attention to not just what players say, but what they might mean by what they say is really important. And here's what I mean by that. Last night, I had a player who got a magic item, and the magic item actually required attunement, but it required you to be an evil-aligned player or an evil-aligned character in order to attune to it. And basically, they were asking me, hey, do you think I qualify as evil? Can I attune to this item? And then I sort of talked a little bit about, well, you kind of get to dictate what your alignment is by your actions. And so if you consider yourself an evil character, do evil things, or are willing to do evil things, whatever, that would probably classify you as an evil character, right? The point is that I thought that this player was asking questions about how to determine their alignment, when what they were actually asking about was literally, could they go ahead and attune to this item? And for some reason, it just went over my head, and they just accepted my answer. They were like, oh, okay, thanks, I appreciate it. But I never actually answered their question. And so today, as I was looking back on it, I thought, I can't believe that I kind of overlooked what they were actually asking. They probably didn't press the issue because they thought that I was making it a riddle or something. I'm not sure. But I ended up messaging them and saying, oh, by the way, last night when you asked if you could attune to that item, the answer is totally yes. I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood your question. I realized today that I probably did. Anyway, I was reminded that we really want to pay attention to what players say and what they might mean behind what they say, because sometimes, the communication is not always easy, and D&D is really communication is a core fundamental part of it. It's part of what makes it awesome, also part of what makes it a challenge sometimes. Number 2, I was reminded that when you let players take the lead and are willing to let your story take a back seat to player agency, the game will be better. People will be more interested in it, the immersion will be better, and you'll tend to get better results overall. This is so true. Last night, I actually made a real big effort to do this. I really thought to myself last night, one of my big goals going into last night's session was to say, you know what, I'm going to have the NPCs really take a step back. I'm not going to be pushing them into the spotlight. I'm going to really make this a session where the players lead. I'm going to spotlight the players constantly. I'm not even going to press my story. In fact, I did something I don't usually do. I did not begin and end last night's session with any cutscenes about the big bad evil guy or anything. The reason being, I didn't want to take any attention away from just the players. Now, there are times when I will push NPC agendas, when I will press the story a bit, right? When those things will come around because I want to facilitate emotional connection and get the players engaged in it. And so to do that, sometimes the NPCs do need to step forward into the spotlight more, but it does not have to be all the time. And last night I was very serious about letting the players completely have the spotlight and pushing that. And the results were very, very good. The players did some awesome stuff that no doubt was just a result of them being creative and playing the game and running their characters the way they want. And the fact that they were given so much agency and that they were not encumbered in any any way by any form of story. Like they were just given completely free reign. And this led to such a good session. And so I was just reminded that, every once in a while, yes, you might want to push some of those story elements or at least put them in there, or you may want to have the NPCs do a thing or two. But there are also times when you just want to sit back and let the players do what players do best, which is play the game and be awesome. And by the way, when it comes to plot arcs and things like that, if you ever kind of struggle with plot arcs, or if your players end up derailing your plot arcs or things like that, and you kind of need to come up with them on the fly or anything like that, I want to remind you that I have an ebook. Show you right here. It's called The Ultimate Plot Randomizer. It contains 4 D100 tables to help you identify the beginning, middle part, and conclusion of plot arcs on the fly. You can roll percentiles, come up with those plot arcs. There's even a wild and wacky table to throw stuff in that your players have never seen coming. If you need plot arcs instantly on the go, you can print out this short ebook, throw it in your stuff, and you can just random roll some plot hooks, plot arcs, or even just some adventure creative stuff to help you get over those stuck moments when you're like, oh man, what do I do now? So if you ever struggle with that, please, there's a link in the description. If you sign up for my email list, the first email you get will deliver you your free Ultimate Plot Randomizer. So you can just grab it, download it, use it or don't use it, but you'll have it in case you need it. So anyway, make sure to download that because it might help you get unstuck in those stuck moments. And that leads us to tip number 3. I was reminded that playing D&D with awesome people really makes the game awesome, while playing with not so awesome people can actually have a pretty damaging effect on the experience for everyone. Back when I used to run more open games where I would kind of have an open door and, I had a max party size, but people could come to the game, sort of an open invitation amongst people I was playing with at the game store and people I knew in the community, right? There would be a whole bunch of players, a whole mix and match. And some of them I jived really well with, and some were just not. Not hitting on the same frequency. Some really caused drama in the game. Some actually made people upset and offended them, and they just weren't very nice people, right? Nowadays, I have a very, very close-knit gaming group who I really like, and we play great games together. And I just kind of keep the group limited to those people. I don't bring a lot of people from the outside in anymore. And part of the reason for that is because I've learned that playing with great people makes for great games, while playing with people who are maybe rude or disrespectful or who don't take it seriously or whatever you want to call it, people who do not share your values with gaming, they're not going to contribute in that same positive way, probably. In fact, they'll take away from it. So being careful of who you let in your group is actually really important. I've seen one problem player ruin game sessions for multiple players. Just name your problem. They were annoying, they were rude, they were unpleasant to play with. They made the game more dramatic than it needed to be. And drama is good, but making it more dramatic than it needs to be, not good. So anyway, playing with awesome people really makes a difference. I was really reminded of that this weekend because it was such a good game and everyone got along and it was super fun time. And it wasn't always that way in my games. So I'm very thankful that it's like that. And then number 4, I was reminded that having fun and not taking things too seriously is often the best policy. I had a couple situations in last night's game where I misunderstood things or maybe forgot things. And at one point I even went to stand up and kind of tripped. And it was just almost like a physically comedic wipeout. I was not a perfect person last night while playing games. I wasn't a perfect GM. I didn't have a perfect memory. I didn't have the perfect delivery for things sometimes. Sometimes my words were a little jumbled. There were times when I had to think for a minute before responding to something. And I wasn't perfect. And the thing is that I still had a great time. And everyone else seemed to have a great time too. And I'm highly confident that they're going to come on back next time. And I think that part of the reason for why it can be fun is because I don't take it so seriously. I take it very seriously. The things that I can control, I really try to take seriously. I want to be prepared. I want to understand my NPCs. I want to understand my story. I want to have any materials I'm going to need laid out. I want to have my plot arcs figured out. I want to know what's going on, and I want to know what's going on behind the scenes. I want to be prepared, have good encounters, good balanced encounters, things like this. But I don't want to take it so seriously that it hurts the fun. It's better to have fun. It's better to be positive. It's better to like laugh together over the silly stuff than to just be so serious that you just are grouchy or something, right? So I was just reminded of that last night, and it was very, very nice, very, very good, and I had a great time with it. And I'm not perfect, and that's okay. And you don't have to be perfect to run great D&D games, and that's totally okay. So don't be too hard on yourself, and make sure that you have fun and don't take it too seriously. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think, if you have anything to add to this, and give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. It helps me to grow my channel, and it helps me to reach more awesome D&D people who love to play D&D as much as I do, or even any TTRPG. It doesn't have to be D&D, but personally, D&D is the one I love to play the most, and so that's what I talk the most about. That's going to be it for this one. I'm here almost every day creating videos about my favorite game in the world, D&D. So I hope you'll come back and watch more videos in the future. And in the meantime, have a great one. Get out there and play some D&D this week or weekend. I'll see you on the next one.